So you have to cooperate, otherwise you could find yourself working at counter purposes to what he's trying to create. You're only going in the home, and you could make or break that person in terms of how they relate to the whole program. So after molding those, he's now going to consolidate. So he's going to repeat some stuff. You want them to be settled in the truth now. And so after some time he's going to be making appeals to come forward and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. If you understand that, then you know how you can work with them. And that last week, yes, you could open Bible and help them to see. They say, well, here the evangelist says so. Yes, and in fact that's in Romans. Yeah. Let's look at it again. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So that you're consolidating, you're helping to mold, as well as to make hard these individuals. So, all Adventists need to be educated in this manner, because I see many of them behaving badly at the tent. The evangelist has preached, he's making his appeal, but you see, you're not part of this. Dying for you, you tell yourself. So you start walking on the tent.
Oh boy.
And he's trying to get people to come forward. You understand what I'm saying? It's better you stay home. This is not for you if you tell yourself that. But if you're part of the team, this is when you want to sit close to your neighbor. This is when you might even want to walk up with her. You want me to walk with you? That kind of thing. Because you're part of the program. But quite often we behave as if that's not us. That we are Bible workers. But if people see you walking out, they will say, maybe I was thinking about joining, but it looked like some people know stuff I don't know. You're creating conflict. Conflict is inevitable, it's all around. Even when I counsel in premarital guidance and so on, I make them understand, the only way to escape conflict in marriage is to remain single. Conflict, you have interpersonal conflict and you have intrapersonal. So even the evangelist is in conflict with himself. He's wondering if he really cut in the mustard, as we say. He's wondering why I'm not seeing consistency with the crowd. He begins to argue now with the Bible workers. You need to get up there. They're feeling offended. They say, you understand what I'm saying? Conflict is everywhere. You must understand it, accept it. Don't be surprised by it. Don't let it tell you, you see me, I done, and you walk out and you say, I call that church. No, conflict is inevitable. And that's why we're talking to it, so that you can understand and not be surprised. So how do people relate with conflict? I see to close. There are different ways that people approach conflict. Some people, in the face of conflict, they tend to yield. In other words, they don't like it. All right, take win is what they're ready. And that's because they have a high concern for the relationship. They are prepared to give up. Remember, we said this is a value that you cherish. This is something that you believe in. So it's not something you want to give up. If every time your wife gives you a suggestion, like I highlighted earlier, and I just give it, I can't argue that honesty is something that a value I want to live by. In fact, after a while, I might even know who I am. Because I'm claiming to be this and doing something else. So it has to be something that is strong, otherwise it won't be conflict. And therefore, some people just don't like the whole idea. I don't want to date my neighbor, or this is my spouse, so anytime you see like conflict raising its ugly head, they're ready to leave. But some don't leave like that, Some just don't want the talk because they hear it so often. And you say, you see me, I ain't up to this now, and you hear a door slam, they go on. So you jump in the car and you drive out. That is in the human marriage context. Conflict is always there. That's how some people relate to it. But it is not bad all the time. There are times when you want to call time out. You had a rough day, you fight up with people in Port Spring to get his bus. It came late. The boss already gave you a whole set of trouble for the whole day. And as soon as you step in the door, here is the wife. You see them children yours? And they want to give you all the story, and you must take that. And you say, well, you know, sweetheart, I can't deal with that right now. It's no way off. You see when you see that finger? She ought not to do that. She ought to recognize that there is a time for dealing with conflict situations. Are you with me? So if it's not the right time, ask for time out. Say, you know, could I have a little 20 minutes and could come back to this? Because I see that it's really troubling you and we must discuss it, but I just need a little 20. And she must say, sure, sweetheart.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. So think of you having a situation in the crusade and, you know, for whatever reason, this thing is escalating. It happens all the time. We need a little tool, some tools rather, to deal with conflict, right?
Amen.
So yielding. That is, you win, I lose. But then there are some people who, in the face of conflict, they must always win because they're always right. Creates a lot of problems. They put their foot down because they know they're right. And they no longer know to speak the truth in love. They use all kind of words they shouldn't be using them. Because as far as they're concerned, they're right. You don't even listen to what the other person is saying. You know those people? Thankfully, they're not here. But once you know that, they're always right. Yeah. Now, there's a time to put your foot down. But we have to learn the difference between what we call individual preference and taste and right and wrong issues. I prefer if we paint the house blue, but my wife prefers if we paint it red. Now, I can't see the red, to be quite honest. The red is difficult to grasp. But I'm not going to make that escalate into something, because it's not a moral issue. It's not about right and wrong. There's no right in painting the house blue or red. Are you with me? Yes. But you see the tithe thing? Yeah, I have to put my foot down because in a marriage or in any relationship, if you really love this person and you see the person going down a path that is not right, or they fall in a hole, let's say, you can't say you love them so much you jump in the hole behind them. You ought to stay on solid ground in order to help them to come up. I don't understand how one husband decides, you see church, and he started behaving strangely drinking, the wife knows you, and she decided, well, you know, if he go inside, he goes out. It happens all the time. So you must know that you have to stay on solid ground if you are to help the one that you love. Amen? And so you don't compromise on those things. So, you know. So having said that, we are saying now that there are some people who must always win, right? Only if a moral issue is involved. Then there are some people who withdraw. In that case, I lose, you lose. Anytime you don't want to deal with the issue and so on, then, in fact, in a marriage, if one loses, they both really lose, and then even. So you don't want that. So the point we're making is, you don't want to head in that direction. The first step that you should take is to resolve. You see, that's where I win and you win. If I stay with, yielding, sure, I show a strong, I really want the relationship, so I prepare to yield. But I don't get what I want. It's very low in achieved needs. If I always win, I get what I want, but it shows that I don't care too much about the relationship. If I withdraw, well, not only do I not get anything in terms of achieving my goal, but I also demonstrate that I have very little concern for the relationship. But if I seek to resolve, I show I have a high concern for the relationship, and at the same time, I also achieve what I want. So the first step is to try to resolve, but you will discover that it's not always that will happen. From then, you move to what we call compromise. Now, compromise is not what you think it is, in the sense that, people compromise. Compromise is like the government and the trade union. Government offering 6%, the trade union want 12%. So they go and they negotiate, and the next day they come out and say, well, they have agreed on 8%. So both get. They didn't get what they want. But there was no I lose, you lose. We both came through looking good. That's what we mean. So again, in the context of, let's say, marriage, you're planning to go on vacation. The wife wants to go to New York, you want to go to England. But it just can't be. There's conflict. Giving your reason, this one, giving you. But if you sit and you compromise, you might discover that if you go St. Lucia. That's what we mean by, compromise. All right? So, quickly as I close, there are certain principles for resolving conflict. Number one, listen carefully to the other person. That was mentioned so many times this morning by the different speakers, but it's a very important point. We must learn to listen. Sometimes we argue back and forth and we're talking and we're not listening to what the person is, and the person is addressing the issue. And if we had only listened, we would have solved it. But we're thinking of what we want to say while they're speaking. That's bad. Secondly, timing. We spoke to him, we're saying there's a right time. Sometimes you just say, well, listen, I see this is, I don't think this might be the best time. So we're going to come back to it. In the next study that we're doing, we'll talk it some more, that kind of thing. Define the problem. Because the problem that is fully defined is half solved. That's where you know what you're really talking to. Yes, we are both agreed here, this is the issue. And we agreed here, but this is the area I'm seeing where we have a little. If you don't do that, then you get into the situation where you're just talking, and things are escalating. So you define areas of agreement and disagreement. You identify your contribution to the problem. Very important. Because seldom isn't just one person at fault. So you can say, I realize that if I didn't do this, you probably might not have got that impression, and therefore this wasn't going to happen, that kind of thing. And then finally, share the behaviors you're willing to change. Because you can't change people. The most you can do is create a climate where they will want to change. So, you must say, I realize that, this thing has been troubling you for some time. You've been speaking to me about it. I want you to know, I'm going to put my socks where it ought to be and not leave it in the living room. Thank you so much.
Pastor, thank you so much for that enlightening presentation. You said something that will stay with me. You said, when we preach the gospel, we create conflict. And we learned more than just conflict resolution. We learned different approaches to take with different people, right? And I suspect a few of you might have a few questions for Pastor Philbert, so we'll take 1 or 2 questions at this time.
Yesterday I was posed with a question. The question was that I was talking to this guy concerning the Sabbath. And he was saying to me, Sister Mish, I really want to do the Sabbath, but I have a problem with it. In that, if everybody do the Sabbath, what will happen to the emergency service, the doctors, the nurses, and that kind of thing. And I didn't have an answer for him. So I told him, well, we just have to be obedient to God, what God's word said. And if God wants it to do it, so that's what I am doing. So I don't know if you could lend some help.
Yes, well, part of the understanding of Sabbath is that it was made for man. In other words, for man to benefit. And therefore, any activity that is going to elevate man in terms of his relationship to others and to God, because it's about relationship, then those activities will be lawful. It is lawful to do good on the Sabbath, the Bible says. Now, if your neighbor is going to, he decides all week he's going to do his work where he is and so on, and on Sabbath he's going to build his bridge, and he has men that mixing concrete and so on, you don't have to go and join him to do that. That's not about life and death. That's a preference that he had to do and so on. But if his wife was ill and you're on your way to church, you could abandon church and take his wife to the hospital, because that is what Sabbath is about.
We probably have time for one more. One more question? No? One? Not?
Based on something you said, suggested that there is some sort of a science to the way in which crusades are. Alright, so based on something that you said, it seemed clear that there is a sort of science to the way in which crusades are conducted. Right? Now, for the benefit of the gospel worker, it makes a lot of sense. But I have been in situations where I know a lot of the younger Christian believers who are actually opposed to the idea of crusade, right? And I think even like you made mention of, well, maybe some people should stay home because they're actually operating counter to that particular task. But could it be that a lot of us simply don't understand from the church perspective, from the wider church perspective, the importance of the crusade, even the length of the crusade, why it is the way it is? And wouldn't it be also extremely beneficial if that particular concept could also be translated to the church at large, so that not only the gospel workers would benefit from that particular understanding, but also the entire church at large would now understand, appreciate, and also now be able to contribute meaningfully to that soul winning initiative.
Yes, and I think I did mention it. I said that's why the church has to be educated along these lines, because it's a crowd that brings crowd. If the members are not attending, it gives the impression that this effort is failing or whatever. But if you fill the tent and there isn't room and we have to bring more chairs, that's what we want. Because people will come wherever they see a crowd, because something important is happening, is how they interpret it, and they want to be there.
Thank you so much, Pastor. If anyone has any further questions, we're continuing this evening. And the good news is that Pastor Philbert is home. He's not going anywhere. I hope not. So that you can save your questions for him for this afternoon. I want to thank you all for staying with us for the entire program. I encourage you to come back this afternoon. We have our very own Pastor Leslie Moses. He'll be with us this afternoon. He'll be speaking about domestic issues on the field. Dr. Faz will be here. He's speaking about Bible study and visitations in the Hindu and Muslim home. And of course, the presentation that was carted for this morning has been moved to this evening. That is the Bible Worker for the Digital World. I'm looking forward to that one by our very own sister, Candace Adams. Thank you all again for staying with us. We'll now have closing prayer by Pastor.